Hello and welcome back to my channel, Bookish Lady Night, where we get a look behind the book. Today I am joined by the lovely Heather Bennett. She's an author of several books, including Flipping the Record, Expecting to Fly, and Helplessly Hoping. That is the tongue twister, that one, to name a few. But in these stories, you will find, and if you like these tropes, you definitely want to grab these stories. You'll find rock stars, you'll find the 1970s to 1980s vibes, slow burn, bad boys, some playboys, and some second chances. So definitely check them out. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
So for your latest book, can you tell us a little about it?
Sure. It's actually coming up. It's Helplessly Hoping. I've taken the title from the Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young song, Helplessly Hoping, which was released on May 29th. So when my book was coming out, I released it on May 29th because it seemed to be fitting.
Yes.
And it's about a rock star and his personal assistant and how they their relationship grows and comes together. And it's told from his point of view, which is kind of a fun little twist on things. And he's fallen for her. She's very distant and doesn't want to play along for the longest time. But when they got together, there are sparks. I love their chemistry. When I was writing them, I just had so much fun with their banter going back and forth that it just kind of wrote itself. I really enjoyed that. It's out and it's gotten some really fun reviews. It's gotten some great feedback. And I do have a short story that kind of is a companion to this that I've written as well. And that's taken from her point of view. So we've got some fun things with this one.
So you see both sides.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of interesting to do it from his point of view, because predominantly you see it from the female's point of view.
Exactly.
And then usually the epilogue is the male's point of view, if it's not a duo.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And this is my second book from the male point of view. And I just kind of find it fun to kind of flip it a little bit to try to get that into that headspace of what would they be thinking as opposed to the flirty girl,
Yeah. So how was that? Was it difficult?
I don't think so. I find it really kind of natural to start. When my characters start talking, I'm just going to start listening. And a lot of times they come out male and just have a story to be told, and I let it go. I enjoy it. And I find writing females a little bit more difficult, I think, because I get involved in the emotion of it. And would I do that? Maybe not with this. Whereas with the male character, I can be like, this sounds reasonable. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. So are you more of like a pantser than a planner?
Absolutely pantser. Yeah. We always laugh, like my friends who are writers and and they're like, oh, you need to outline this way you don't get stuck in this. I said, but by the time I outline, I know the end of the story. There's no point in me writing it anymore. I know what happens. To me, I like that discovery of what's next. Let's see what he does today.
That's really great. So within this story, where is it taking place? And did you travel to a similar place if it's a made up town, or have you lived in an area like that? What inspired you for your setting?
It takes place in the early 80s. He is a rock star from the 70s going into a solo career. He has a fairly reasonable, successful solo career. And what starts the story off is his old bandmate comes back and says, we want to get the band back together. So we follow his journey through the emotion of getting that and dealing with the past and his rock stars and what's happening now with Nikki, the assistant. So it's early 80s. It takes place in California, Laurel Canyon or Topanga Canyon. I love that area. I've only visited once. It was freezing and it poured and it was miserable, but I absolutely love it. So a lot of my stories are set in that time frame, in that area, just because I've watched all of the documentaries and the TV. I just love the chemistry, that mythology of Laurel Canyon and that camaraderie of all of those musicians to have been in that just
Yes.
makes my
I
heart.
love
I drove out to California. I had this whole thing planned, ready to go. I like plotted. I was going to see the Eagles here. I was visiting a friend here. I'm going to stay in Laurel Canyon. It was when you had those torrential downpours, the mudslides that one winter, and then coming home, I hit a blizzard in Arizona and got stuck in a hotel for 2 days. It was is one of my favorite best trips, but my God, it was miserable
Yeah.
weather-wise.
So you were up near Flagstaff. I'm from Arizona originally.
I was driving from Texas. I'm
You're
in
driving from
Dallas.
Texas.
Yeah,
But when you
so
went through Arizona, was it through Flagstaff?
yes, that's where it
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Yeah. I went to college there.
I'm like, I want the t-shirt. I survived Flagstaff. It tried to kill me. Like, dumb New Yorker, I had no idea it snowed in Arizona. I'm thinking it's desert. So that's on me.
I feel you there. I have a lot of friends that would like say, "Oh, you live where it's the desert." I'm like, "Yeah, your face definitely melts off, but when you go north, I mean, it's snowing and it's like you can't see 30 feet, like you can't see like 3 feet in front of you. It's like a wall of snow."
Yeah, no,
Oh,
I was driving over some overpass. There was a tanker truck in front of me. It was supposed to be a 4-lane highway. It was two ruts. None of the exits were plowed. I was doing 20 for over like an hour on quarter tank of gas. And like if that truck went over a ridge, I was going with it. It was
yeah,
miserable.
yeah. You could be like, "I was marked safe and survived the
Yep.
blizzard." Yeah, it's crazy. It's very crazy when you don't expect it because you think of the desert and then you're like, "Wait, it's snowing here? Why?"
This is not the desert. No. So yeah.
Oh, I
But
love that.
overall, it was a really fun trip.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that you were able to kind of weave it into your stories and take the bits that you can remember it later on. That's
Oh,
cool.
absolutely. Well, the Blizzard section, the Blizzard actually did end up as a story that I have on my back burner, but I've written that whole scene. I'm like, there's a whole thing, like it had to become a something. So,
Yeah, definitely. So in the summers there, they sometimes do outdoor concerts. So that might be a good way to rope that in,
oh yeah,
especially like if you want to do something with a college town vibe because it has the college there, but
right.
they do like music festivals in the
Okay,
summers. So that might be a good way to like hook something in there for a
pull that in
story.
that. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. We'll
Yeah.
look into that one.
So who's been the hardest main character for you to write?
That's a really good main character. Um, I would probably say the girl, the personal assistant in Helplessly Hoping, because she's
Mhm.
so not the typical character I write. I like to write really strong, independent women who don't take any crap, and to a degree, she does that. But she's got a past and she's hiding from it and she doesn't want to share anything. She's very closed off, and that's usually not the kind of character I write. So when she
Okay.
started emerging, I'm like, okay, you're gonna give me some hearts here. Like I
Yeah.
need to work on you. And then she ended up with her own short story. So I'm like, okay, you talked. We're good.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, is there been a side character that was like you weren't expecting to do anything with them, but they were just like, no, hey, I'm here. I want a book, or I want to be this person and more of a role in these stories.
I love my side characters. Quite yes. There's two. In Flipping the Record, his name has just gone out of my head. Jeff's bandmate, Mike, they just have a great dynamic and they have fun. So when they were writing, I'm like, oh, you're gonna be a thing. You're a thing. Actually, I'm sorry, his name is Teddy. So I'm like, yeah, he became bigger than what I had expected him to become. And
Yeah,
there was a point where he almost became a love interest, but I'm like, no, 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 dial. But he was a lot of fun to write. And I got Mike in Helplessly Hoping. I like that their dynamic is can be they're just
yeah,
fun. Again, I had a review that said I just want to hang with these people. There'd just be so much fun at a barbecue just to kind of go hang with them. So that was like
yeah.
one of my favorite compliments that I got.
That's so cool. That's really great. So I have my like list of so out of your characters, this is kind of a fun question. So it could be ideally a main character, but if it's like you said a side character that you really loved, you can include them. So
Okay.
out of your characters, for the men, which one would you date, which one would you marry, and which one would you kick to the curb?
Ooh, okay. So I would probably date Jeff from Helplessly Hoping,
Okay.
early Jeff, because that takes place in two different, like that starts in the 70s and then we jump to the 80s. So the 70s Jeff, I would definitely be
Okay.
dating him. He would be a lot of fun. I would probably kick to the curb Roy from Expecting to Fly because he
Okay.
just gave me issues.
Okay.
And then Mary would definitely be Nick from Letting Go, my first novel. I just
Okay.
think he was a lot of he just had a soft spot. I think he has a good heart.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So then this is focusing on the females. So out of those, which one would be your best friend? Who would be your roommate? And who would you take on a road trip?
Ooh, my best friend would probably be Bailey from Letting Go, the first novel. Just very laid back and down to earth. Road trip would be Cass from Flipping the Record because she would have a lot of really fun stories. She's outgoing, and I think she would be a blast if you got stuck somewhere.
Yeah. You'd have good memories.
Yeah, absolutely. And my roommate, if I'm allowed to say, I would probably say Cass again because she has her head
Okay.
together. Like
Yeah.
she would be good. Yeah, she's very
Okay.
solid.
Yeah. Awesome. That's really cool. So within your writing, even though it's a time frame like of our history, right? It's the 70s, the 80s. It's a real thing. There's always an element with authors where you're kind of world building. You're creating a world, you're creating that dynamic. How do you balance that while keeping your audience engaged in the storyline of the characters?
I think a lot of that is because it is real. A lot of the things that I put in there are common knowledge to a degree for a lot of, especially if you're interested in the music scene of that time
Uh-huh.
frame. So I'll try to touch on things that happened during that time frame to ground the reader, but at the same
Uh-huh.
time, I'm going to throw in things that in that quote unquote world that may not exist in my world but does in theirs. So,
Yeah.
there's going to be this great rock star that no one's ever heard of, but they're huge. Or there's going to be a festival that never happened, but it did happen in that time frame. So they can still relate to what it is, but it's
Mhm.
still fictional so that I can mold it and play with it and pretend I was backstage and make those stories happen.
Yeah. That's great. So have you always wanted to be a writer, or what led you to start with your first book?
I think I've always wanted to be a writer. I went to college. I got my degree is in English with a concentration in creative writing. My English teacher in high school, you're going to be the next Danielle Steele, because I was just so flowery and, romancy. I've always been able. I was the kid. I was the friend that had the notebooks that was writing stories that all of my friends would have to be in stories with, I'm going to make you this person. I'm going to make you. So, and I still have them somewhere.
That's great.
So yeah, it's just in my blood. If I'm not writing, I'm itchy, I'm irritable, I'm restless. Like there has to be some way to let that energy out.
Okay. And so what led you when you got, to that story, Letting Go, right? That's the first
Yes.
one,
Mm-hmm.
to write it and send it out to all of us. What was that catalyst?
Well, I've always wanted to be a writer. I did have a story that I had an agent for way back in the 90s that was also dealing with a musician. It never went anywhere, it didn't get very far. So it's always kind of been a theme that I was writing. And then I was writing Letting Go, I was getting some fairly decent feedback, and then I got laid off because of COVID. And if I'm like, I'm going to need a project to work on while I'm trying to find another position and
Yeah.
not dealing with COVID and that whole energy that was going on at the time. So I focused on the book. And by then, the independent publishing was a lot more acceptable. It was a lot more
Mhm.
acceptable that I was able to actually do it and not have to worry about going through an agent and wondering if they're going to pick me up and what rewrites they were going to want. I was able to put my story out the way I wanted to tell it. Granted, if I wrote it again, I'd probably change a couple of things, but it's out and I'm not fighting that. So
Yeah, you're like, it's good.
it's
It's
out
good.
in the world. We're happy with it. It's got good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I know you do a lot of rock star stories and the slow burn. Are there any tropes that you haven't written yet that you really want to?
Think so. I'm really I'm kind of playing with this right now. I'm doing, it's not even, it's a more literary than a romance kind of feel. It's still dealing with a rock star, but it starts with the beginning of his, like he's a teenager and it goes through to his 60s. So it's more of an overall arc. So I
Okay.
think that is my foray into something I've never done before, because it's not usually this long. It's just two novels at this point. It's just way bigger than I ever thought it was ever going to become, and a lot more grittier than I expected it to be. So I think that's kind of where it turns for me. But I mean, I can't see me writing. If anything, it might be a ghost story. I do like the supernatural kind of. I love a ghost, so that may come up. I do have a short story somewhere where I've got rock stars and ghosts, so that
Uh-huh.
may happen. But I
Yeah.
really, yeah, I have no idea. I just kind of go with what shows up.
Yeah. So when you get an idea, is it usually like a scene or is it a character that comes to you?
It's usually a character. When I started writing Expecting to Fly, came out so quick. The first paragraph that I wrote for that story came out and I'm like, this is great. And it sat for a year until something came back out and I was able to finish that whole story. So it's kind of flashes of a scene and a character voice of who they're forming into and what they want to say.
Great. So let me go down here. So how have you been celebrating your milestones?
Ice cream generally.
What flavor?
I'll go anywhere from mint chocolate chip to, I just had what's called Texas blend, which was chocolate swirl with little tiny peanut butter cups inside of it, which really
Ooh,
was really good.
sounds good.
And then when I had my first book signing, a friend of mine took me out to dinner to kind of to celebrate that. So I mean, there's slow little bits.
Yeah, that's good. Just little highlights to remember the day and pat yourself on
Yes,
the back. And
yes. Look,
it's because it's a big accomplishment.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Yes,
fun.
exactly.
And I had to
So
say,
this kind of
my sister for Christmas got my first two books when I only had the two at the time, but she framed both of those covers for me. So now for me, after that, anytime I publish something, I'll get a copy and I'll frame the covers just to kind of she's remind myself, yeah, that's right, you did that. It's okay. You
that's
can
so
keep going.
great. That's so great.
Yeah.
So this kind of segues because you talked about ice cream. So what is your favorite beverage and snack while you're writing?
That's pretzels and coffee.
Pretzels and coffee?
Pretzels
Nice.
and coffee. I've lived on pretzels and coffee. Yes.
Yeah. Those are good choices. The salty, then a
Yep.
little bit sweet
A
from the
little bit.
coffee. Yeah, good choice.
And it's like it's mindless, so I don't have to.
Yes. Yeah, you look down, you're like, I ate a bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So within your stories, how do you deal with obviously with rock stars, they sometimes can be very tortured souls and have a lot of trauma and baggage and heavier topics. How do you deal with that? Was that hard for you to get in that mindset or was it cathartic?
I think that's what draws me to them is that it is they're normal people, they're real people. It's everyone sees this fame and fortune and the glamour and the sex and the drugs or whatever, but there's that flip side of what happens when you do the drugs. You're away from your family constantly. It's a physical toll on your body, but they still do this for decades. They're going out and they're doing it. So I'm drawn into that. What will make someone want to do that? And the psychological of the being away from the family, the toll that's taking. I kind of enjoy delving into the dirty side of it. One of my friends was like, you do not glamorize what is going on. You're giving them the sharp reality of it's not always fabulous.
Yeah.
And I think think that's kind of what draws me to these characters, is that it's not always fun and fabulous, and the like dynamics of a band and head butting. There's a lot of drama and tension that you can play with, and it's
Yeah.
not, you don't need to be a rock star to comprehend or to relate to them, because what's happening happens to everybody. It's just, rock stars are just more interesting.
Yeah, that's really cool because I feel like a lot of the time, like you said, it's like idealized and it's like made to be like this really fantastical life, which I'm sure it is because they have so many amazing opportunities, but it's a really dark road to go.
There's two flip, I mean, it's a flip side, I think, to it. I think that the highs can be really, really high, but when you hit that low, it's going to be really low. So I think
Yeah,
that's kind of what I enjoy playing with.
yeah. That's really good. I like stories like that that make you think and like draw you in and like make your paradigm shift. Because I feel like we all need that sometimes, is having a paradigm shift and seeing like another perspective of someone else's life. Because we are
Right.
always like the grass is always greener on the other side. So
Exactly.
yeah. So do you have a moment that you can recall during this journey where you felt really proud?
I want to say when I got the first copy of the first book, when that came back from Amazon and I was actually able to hold it, and it's an actual novel. That was like this moment of holy crap, I created this out of
Yeah.
thin air. I mean, it's one thing you can take it and you print it out of your on your printer and it's a bunch of papers, and that's nice. But I mean, this was a book. It was a real book. I look at yourself on Amazon and people bought, like, it just was, that was the moment I'm like, okay, I did it. I really did
Yeah.
it. That was a
That's so
really fun
cool.
one.
It must be a great feeling, a very like accomplishment because it is. It's like you have
Accomplished,
a
and
book.
it's surreal. Like it's almost surreal because you're like, no, this is a real thing. Like, it's not. I'm not just playing a writer anymore. There's a book here.
Yeah.
That's was surreal.
Yeah. That's really great. So do you feel like writing energizes you or does it make you tired?
But it definitely will energize me. It editing makes me tired because you
Okay.
get sick of looking at it. But the actual writing part, I could do. I could write 24 hours and not even think to go to sleep if there's something going on and I need to get it out. But when I
Yeah.
get to editing, that's a whole different story.
So when you're writing, do you have like a certain number of like you want to accomplish like a scene or a chapter or a word count when you sit down to do like a writing session?
I try to do scenes. I try not to pay attention to word count. I did the NaNoWriMo um, thing for several years and found
Yeah.
myself getting really bogged down by, oh, it's not a good day. I only wrote 1,500 words and not the 1,600 words. I didn't do well. And it took a minute and I'm like, I just wrote 1,500 words. I'm going to be happy. The scene was complete. We're good. Like, if I can get an emotional response out of my character and finish that, I'm happy with this. So
Yeah.
that I stopped dealing with word count because I felt I was beating myself up over not being good enough. And
Okay.
I'm much happier when I'm like, you know what? I'm going to nail this scene. I'm going to nail what he needs to say. Like, I get a really good sentence and it's only a sentence, but if it works,
Yeah. No, that's good. I feel like that's a good accomplishment, getting from the beginning to the end, regardless of, because some chapters might be shorter than others. And to be focusing on the word count, it's like taking you away from what's important.
exactly. And I think a lot, unfortunately, I do think a lot of authors are in that rut of, it needs to be, I need to write or it's a failure for this day. And it's just so not that.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I mean, sometimes 500 words are pulling teeth, but you get them on the page and it's a win. Yes,
Yes.
exactly. Are there words on the paper? You're good. It's a win.
Yes.
That's my,
So,
it's a win. Keep
yes.
going. It's little bits. It builds it. It's amazing. And I think half
Yeah.
of it is dedication. Dedication to making it happen is your win.
Yeah. So I would agree with you on that. So do you have a writing kryptonite, something that'll like derail you when you're writing?
Music. Oddly enough, it's music. I have to write in silence. I found
Okay.
if I go somewhere and I know the song that's on, I am pulled directly out. I'm singing along. I'm listening to the harmony. I'm doing this. And I cannot do music anymore. It's kind of crazy. All of my books have a playlist. Anytime I'm not writing, there is music. But when I have to write, it has to be silence. It's kind of nuts.
It's just funny because you're writing books about rock stars, but I could see why, because it could be distracting.
Yeah. And it's fine if I went to, like a coffee shop or something and they have music playing. 90% of the time I don't know the songs that are on, so I can tune it out. But the
Uh-huh.
second I recognize something, I'm pulled right out of it. I'm like, oh, there we go. There's the Backstreet Boys. I'm gonna have to sing.
Yes. I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. It's hard. It's so distracting. It's like I feel very much like Dory. I'm like, do 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 do.
Yes.
What's over here? Like just gone.
Squirrel, sparkly.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly like that. So have you ever suffered with writer's block?
Yes, it's awful. Yes.
So what did you do to get out of it?
It takes time, and patience. Like I said, I had written that one paragraph and it sat and sat and sat. And after like 3 months of not getting anywhere, I'm like, fine, I'm going to put you aside. And I forced myself. That's when I started writing or started looking into, I wrote 2 short stories. I'm like, just write something, just get something out, see if that will spark, that will pull anything. It didn't. It just sat and sat until I don't even know what happened or what brought it on, but I woke up one day going, that's it. That's what needs to happen, and sat down and the rest of it poured out. But it was a good year on this one story of I have no idea what to do with this.
Wow. Well, that's good that you kept going and you like stayed with writing. I feel like that's a key component is staying with writing even if it's not that story, that you're sticking with it and then it'll like unblock the creative flow.
That has to happen, I think. I mean, even if you're not writing the one that you're stuck on, you're still working on your skills, you're still working on the storytelling, you're still working on the building character that's going to end up in another
Yeah.
piece of it. It still helps your writing. So
Yeah.
that was my idea of it anyway. And I don't normally do short stories, so for
Uh-huh.
me that was like, okay, let's try something new just to try to unblock it. And
Yeah.
it worked. Eventually it
Good
worked.
idea. So if you could go into a time machine and talk to your younger writing self, would there be anything that you tell yourself knowing what you know now?
I would probably go back to me in high school and just be like, you're gonna make it. It's okay. It's not gonna be what I was thinking it was gonna be in the late 80s when you had the Joan Collins and the TV movies and the series, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's almost what I'm doing now is almost better because I feel more I'm prouder of the stories I'm telling. And I think my younger self would need to know that it may not be what you're thinking it's going to be, but it's going to be better, and just keep going.
That's good advice. Out of your characters, are there any that, and it could be either a character or a couple, that have really stuck with you or like you felt almost like you identified with?
I say the ones that stuck with me, it was Nick and Bailey in the first book. There was something about Bailey that just kind of they'll still kind of come back. I'm like, oh, I kind of miss them. They were kind of fun. And when I was writing them, I'm like, you're really kind of cool. This is working out like really fun. I enjoyed writing those the most, and then follow it probably with Cass and Jeff from Flipping the Record because I just think they also had a really fun dynamic. It was a really respectful dynamic in the end, and just to see that whole arc of Jeff's character come through for me was like, yeah, okay, you were good.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. So what do you feel is like the most difficult thing for you about?
Probably if I have to write a setting, I hate it. I constantly get you need to put them in a room, they're floating in a white room, because I'm really good with dialogue. I enjoy dialogue. It comes to me very naturally, very easily. But to me, to write a setting just is pulling teeth. It's not something that comes natural. I feel like I'm spelling it out. It just doesn't feel right for me. So
Okay.
that's probably my hardest thing when I'm writing. I'm like, okay, now I need to put them somewhere. And here we
Okay. What is the easiest thing about it for you?
go. Probably dialogue comes, the banter between characters usually come easily. They sound natural to me. I can almost hear the conversation when I get going. I think that gives me like that writing high that you can get of I really can keep going, and they come alive for me. So that's the fun part. That's the easy part for me, is to have them talk to one another.
So is there a specific type of scene that you struggle with besides, the setting up of like a room, but like a scene as far as like the context of the scene that you struggle with?
I think it kind of depends on the story and the day that I'm writing or what's going on like around me during like personally it will affect what I want to write and how I want to write. So, obviously if I'm having a really crappy day at work or, you got cut off on the way home and you're just frustrated, coming home and writing a love scene isn't going to work. I think that it depends on the day and where I'm at in the story. I very much am a linear writer. I don't jump scenes. I won't just like, oh, I'll write this and then fit it in later because I can't figure out how to do that. So if I'm not there yet, it waits until I get there.
I was going to ask you that if you were a mood writer or if you literally write with your
Yeah,
stories.
no, completely linear. It drives people insane. They're like, but how do you remember and how do you know that you want to do that? I'm like, well, if I want it to be there, then I'm going to remember it. It's going to be, has to be
Yeah.
important enough for me to get there. If it's not, then I'm not going to remember it. This is where it goes.
Yeah. I love that. So in your stories, as most stories do, they have like a twist or something that happens, like that ending like moment where you're like, oh boy, what happened? That kind of scene. Do you know they're coming, or do the characters like walk you up and lead you right to it and then go, here you go?
Mean, that's generally what happens. It's a surprise to me too when it happens.
Yeah.
When I was writing Letting Go, I was at work because we had a lull at the job, so I was writing at work, and I wrote the ending of the story without knowing it was the ending or what was happening. And I just
Yeah.
remember getting up and I walked past my friend and I'm like, I'm sobbing because of what I had just written. I'm like, I need to go. I just go, oh my God, a complete moment breakdown in the bathroom at work because it just came out. I'm like, I had no idea this was going to happen. Like none whatsoever.
Wow. Wow. Well, that's good. Then it's good if it's like affecting you.
That's what they told me.
Right?
But I was like, I feel like an idiot because I'm crying at work. But oh my God, was not expecting that.
Yeah, but that means that's good. That's a very good thing. So, how long does it take for you to finish a book from like when you start to when we would get it?
That kind of tends to it depends. I have a lucky enough to have a backlog right now, so I'm working on editing something. Hopefully, I'll be able to have that out with. I'm hoping early next year, but I've had this written for 6 years. So I've just done other things before it and other things
Yeah.
unfinished. I have a fantastic critique group. And so it takes a little bit longer now because we're taking like 5, 6 pages a week going through critiquing, rewriting, re-editing. So it's the process has gotten a little bit longer, but the work itself, the book itself is getting so much better. I'm getting much better at the storytelling part of it. So it can be anywhere. Once I'm finished with something, it's usually about a year, maybe a little bit longer, depending on the length of the book, to actually get it out in the world.
And do you enjoy the process of creating or working with the designer to create the cover?
I do my own covers. So
Ooh.
that's like one of my favorite things to do. For my day job, I do marketing, and so I get to play with the graphics. I get to play with InDesign, and so that's one of my favorite things to do. So I get to combine the two at the same but for a book. So I have a blast trying to like come up with the covers and play with the covers. That's one of the things I
That's
enjoy.
awesome. That's really fun. That's very fun. So, do you draw characters' personalities from people around you, or do they completely come at you kind of like fully formed and ready to go?
It depends on the character. A lot of the male characters you will read in my stories look a lot alike because I tend to have a type and I tend to base it off of a person um, as my muse. But strangely enough, all of the female characters are just pulled out of thin air. I don't know where they come from. And then I was watching something on Netflix. I can't remember the name of the show now. Good Girls Revolts,
Huh?
and one of the characters on that this came I didn't see that until like 3 years after I put Letting Go out, and one of the characters in there literally stopped dead and sat down going, holy crap, that's Bailey. like face,
Wow.
hair, body type. Like it was unbelievable. I'm like, holy crap, that's what I pictured. And there she is
Wow.
standing. It was
Wow.
amazing.
That's oh, she's a doppelganger.
Yes, seriously. I was like, holy crap, where did that come from?
So with your writing, do you have like a certain time because you do work? So do you write on the weekends? Do you write in the evenings? Like what's your process for getting in the words you want to write?
I do as much as humanly possible. I try to write every day at some point. Even if it's just half an hour of coming in and doing some editing, I want to make sure I'm here and doing it. I have, like I said, I have a critique group that meets once a week, which are fat and they're fabulous. And that's like 3 hours. And then we have an online Zoom on Thursdays. So we're writing for an hour at least then. And then I'm part of another really amazing group called the Guild of Unwritten Words. And we started 6 years ago. Actually, this weekend is our sixth anniversary of getting together. We write every second Saturday all day. It's a 14-hour day of people coming, sitting in Zoom. We have discussions and workshops, but 90% of it is your button chair, you're putting down words on paper. And Memorial Day
Cool.
weekend is a 3-day weekend of this. So I've been online since 7 o'clock this morning with a group of writers, just writing and talking writing and being with other writers all day. It's fantastic. So I made a point like 3 or 4 years ago that I'm like, if I really want to do this, I need to take myself seriously before someone else is going to take myself seriously. So if I'm going to treat it as a habit, it's not going to be a success. So I make a point, nothing will get in my way of my writing. That's my Tuesdays and Thursdays are sacred. I do not make appointments on Tuesdays or Thursdays. So I go and write. That's my thing.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's good that you're, dedicated in making sure that you can get your time in and it's for you it's like self-care.
Yes, very much so. Very much
Yeah.
so. And it's important. I think it's important as a writer to give yourself the permission to do it and not treat it as this kind of side project that it's a little treat. Like it's if it's important, make it important. Let it be
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, definitely. So has stuff changed a lot since you published your first book to the books that you're coming out with now? Have you changed your process a lot?
I can't say I changed my process a lot. It's managed to incorporate a little bit more. Like I said, I have a critique group now that is fantastic. I've got the guild that will help me work through any of the other issues. I don't feel as alone in the
Okay.
process as I did when I first started because
Okay.
we've networked, I've made, friends with other people that if there's an issue, I have someone I can talk to and it's not me
Like a
Googling.
community.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I'm not Googling out into the ether trying to figure something out. I can just, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Someone can talk me off the ledge when I start getting to that point.
That's good. That's good to have a group of people like that around for you. Do you do a character? I know you're a pantser, but do you do like a character interview ever when you feel like you're maybe not hearing them to try to get to know them better?
What's really funny is a friend of mine, when I was having issue with Cass in flipping the record, she's like, I'm going to send you a bunch of questions. We're going to pretend it's an interview. It's like a rock star interview, like a Rolling Stone interview. I'm going to send you a bunch of questions. And that actually did kind of help. And it ended up somewhere. I can't remember where it was. And I'm like, you know what? It was kind of an interesting um, insight from the backside of a character that I never considered to do. So that was
That's
something
cool.
new for me that
Yeah, that's cool. So I usually ask a question about like for a fantasy writer, like if they could be any creature, what would they be? Different things. And since you are music based, if you could be any of the different parts of a band, the singer, the drummer, the bass, which would you find yourself? Who would you want to be?
I would have to be the bass player because I played bass in high school. We had a band in high school. So I was the bass player. Thank you, John Taylor from Duran Duran, who inspired me to pick up the bass.
That's
So
so cool.
I would be the bass player. Yeah.
Very cool. I love that. That's so so cool. That's so so cool.
It was a lot
So
of fun.
do you still play?
No, unfortunately, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I stopped. We had a band in high school. We had a band through college, and then once I got out of college, it just kind of I needed to pay bills and ended up selling the base, and it just never
Yeah.
came back from that. But the experience of having been in a band and like
Yeah.
really helps what, band dynamics and playing around and like
Yes.
creating a song and working. So that ended up a lot in my writing.
That's cool. It gives you like that on-site experience
Yeah, kind of.
for
I
your
think
writing.
so.
Yeah.
How correct it is in real world, but this is how we did it. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what I play with.
So when you finish a book, do you immediately jump in, or do you do like an unwind period, or like give yourself a break, or are you just on to the next thing?
I try to, if I finish something, I put it away. I'll put it away for like at least 3 to 6 months and not look at it and work on something else and just kind of start cleansing and trying to create another story. Sometimes bits and pieces are already started, or like I said, I have something that's I started and it's kind of stalled in the background while I'm editing because I don't want the voices to sound the same. And I
Uh-huh.
kind of noticed I was picking up my character's voice and bringing him into the new story. I'm like, that's not working. So I
Yeah.
try to give it a break to refresh the voice and maybe, just breathe for a minute. But like I said, I like my routine of being able to at least do something creative every
Every
day.
day.
Just keep
Yeah.
in the habit of it.
So I thought we could do a couple would you rather questions. So these are just kind of fun, a way to get to know you and see what your thought processes are. Would you Oh, it's nothing crazy. They're fun. Some of them, like I had an interview earlier today. She told me I was mean because of one of the questions, but it's still a fun question. So would you rather read from a physical book, audiobook, or an ebook?
I prefer a physical book, but if I'm traveling, I want an ebook just for the compactness of it. But I
Okay,
prefer a physical book.
physical book. Okay, so this is the question that she was like, this is mean. So would you rather crack the spine of a paperback book or ruin the dust jacket for a hardback?
Well, that's hard, but I probably have to say crack the spine.
The spine. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both hurt. Both are really painful things to do.
Yes, they are. They are. So, would you rather have dinner with your favorite character or your favorite author?
I would probably go with author only because I'd be able to pick their brains and talk the writing and get some insight possibly
Okay.
into their processes and what they do. Whereas with my character, I already know his backstory.
It could be any character, not even your character. It could just be a
Oh,
character from a book that you love. Would it still be author?
no. And it's really kind of silly, but I would probably want to have dinner with Ponyboy Curtis from The Outsiders.
That's a good one.
He was one of my, like, I devoured that book in high school.
Oh, that book
I
was so
just
good.
devoured it. He was so pinnacle in writing that I'm like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll go with Ponyboy.
So, would you rather read a romantic suspense or a rom com?
Rom-com. I'm really not big on suspense or thriller mystery. It's just not my thing.
Yeah. Okay, so this one's another one that was hard. So, would you rather reread your least favorite book every month or never read your favorite book again?
Never read my favorite book again.
Never read again.
Yeah, there are books that I'm like, nope, you cannot. Don't care. 1984. I will never read it. Never,
Yes,
ever.
I agree. I agree. Coffee or tea?
Coffee. I do love a
Coffee.
good tea, but I have to go with coffee. Yeah, that's a
Okay.
must.
All right. And would you rather a cat or a dog?
Cat. I have one. She's over here. I'm surprised she's not screaming at us right now, but yes, I am so a cat person.
So, would you rather have a sunny day or a rainy day?
I am sunny day. That's part of why I moved to Texas. I want the sun and I want the heat. I'm very happy
Yeah.
in both.
Yes. Yes, I agree. I'd rather be warm than cold. For
Yes.
sure. Definitely.
Yes.
And then would you rather read a duology, a trilogy, or a standalone?
Standalone.
Standalone.
Very much a standalone. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm always concerned, like, if I start reading a series that they're not going to finish the series, or
Yeah.
if they take too long in between, I'm going to forget what happened, and then I'm going to have to reread this and then go back. It just, I'm happy with the standalone.
Yes. Yes. I hate cliffhangers. They gut me. I'm like, why?
Yes.
I usually wait till the series is done and then I'll read it because then I'm like, and I silly enough did that a few times where I didn't do that and I like was gutted. I'm like, I'm not doing that to myself anymore.
See, and then I thought I did because I read all of those. I read a bunch of the Cassandra Clare stories, and then she went off and did another series, and then she came back to this series. And I'm like, I thought I was done. What do you mean? Man,
Yeah, yeah. It's hard
it's
because you get so
hard.
invested.
I'm like, I can't go back and read these 7 books to catch up to remember where you're picking up in this in the ancestry of. I'm like, oh
Yes.
my god, I
It's
can't
like
do.
we need Cliff Notes books for those. Like you need to come out with the Cliff Notes books like we had in school to like keep us on track.
Yes, exactly. I need the whole thing. Just a paragraph. Who is this guy again?
Yes.
So because I think it was Cassandra Clare. She burned me. I'm like, I want to stand alone. Oh, it's series 1, book 1, and then I'm like, nope, nope, nope.
You're like, not again. We're good.
Not again. And here I am writing a series. I'm like, crap, but it's only 2. I swear it's only 2 books.
Duology, so
And
we'll
we're
be
done.
good.
We're done.
We'll be good. So, what, in your opinion, makes a great story?
To me, it's character. I fall in love with the characters, and it's their journey and their stories. That tends to be what makes me invested and finding out wanting to know why
Okay.
something happens and keeps going.
Yeah, I feel so too. I feel like that's where you find yourself being pulled. Usually, is some the plot, obviously, but like the characters. If you don't have a relationship or a draw to the characters, it's like, why am I reading this?
Right. And there's been so many books where I'm like, I don't even like this character, but I'm invested in them to figure out why and what happens. But I mean, so many people are their fantasy and sci-fi, and I'm like, it's too much this. I can't keep track.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is kind of a fun question. What is something unique or quirky that we don't know about you?
Unique or quirky? Well, I've lost count on the amount of times I've seen the Backstreet Boys. I don't remember the number. It's well over 30, but I don't know anymore.
How cool.
And the same goes for Duran Duran. Between the 2 of those bands, I have no idea how many times I've seen those bands.
That's cool. I was like that with NSYNC.
Okay.
But I did like Backstreet Boys. I actually, last year, Joey Fatone and AJ went on tour together. And they did a small venue at the casino that's near me. And they sang all of the songs of each of the bands. Like, he sang with him and he sang with him. And they had this, like, little rivalry moment at the beginning. And it was so cool. It was so cool.
That's fun. That's fun. I mean, AJ's voice is just amazing to me. Just shockingly good. He could make anything work.
Yes, and he went solo, like has a solo, and he went through rehab, and during that event, and it was like maybe 100 people there, like it was a small venue, it was very small, but he sang one of the songs about his journey with addiction that he dedicated to his daughter, who was there in the audience, and it was the first time he was ever singing it live. It was so cool.
Oh, that's
so
a moment. Yeah.
Yes, he was amazing.
Yeah. That's a really cool show.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're going to do it again. I know they had several more stops because we were like one of the first ones, but it was really, really cool to see them together. And
I mean, I've seen Nick Carter a couple of times solo. We went and saw Brian Luttrell eons ago, and that was the same thing. It was this tiny little club upstate somewhere in Pennsylvania. Like, where the hell are we in Pennsylvania? Tiny nothing. And, you know, his son was there and he came and played, and they did a duet or something together. So that was a really cool show. But Brian was never my favorite. So I'm like, it's all right. You know,
it's just nice. And then you're like,
it's good. You know, Nick was a lot of fun. And I traveled a couple of times to see Kevin Richardson in Chicago when he was doing that. So I went to Pittsburgh and saw him there. We saw him in Kentucky, you know, in New York a couple of times, like that. Yeah. I'm the obsessed fan.
Yeah. I liked them. I mean, I was more NSYNC, but I loved both of them. Like,
boy bands.
Like, I love them. Yeah.
You gotta love the harmony.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like the girl who had like the magazines, you know, the Tiger Beat and all of those, and I cut out the posters or the pictures. You couldn't see my walls or the ceiling. Like, I had it covered.
That was me with Duran Duran. Yes, I had them on the ceiling. I had like the slanted ceiling, so they were on the slanted ceiling all over when we moved, my best friend came over. She's like, I had no idea your room was blue. Like no clue, because it was just walls, like tiny little pictures cut out to fill in the little
Yeah.
space.
Yes, exactly, exactly. That was totally me. That was totally me. I love that.
And then there's this like the one meme where it's like you don't know fear until like a poster falls on top of you in the middle of the night. And I'm like,
Yes,
amateur, those would never happen.
yes. Or so I did have one time where I didn't secure it quite enough, and like the whole wall started to fall, and I was like, no, and I was like pushing tape, tape, tape. I was like, no, don't fall.
No,
But
not
yes, exactly,
And I do
exactly.
still have all of my Duran posters. They're in this closet. I have all of them still in a.
Yeah, my mom kept all of them. So my last question for you is, what message do you want readers to take away from after finishing your book?
Probably of that, it doesn't really matter the profession, just kind of people are people and emotions are sticky and can be messy, but stick with it. It's worth it. I think
I
that would
like
be
that
it. Yeah.
message. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming on.
Oh,
It was nice to get to know you and hear more about your books and your wonderful characters. And
thank you.
I just wish you all the best. For all of you out there, I linked her information below so you can find her and her books. Be sure to share it with a book bestie if they love rockstar romances and slow burn, like I said, and bad boys. That's always a fun read for me. So definitely share. And please join me next time as we get another look behind the book. Thank you again
so
so,
much.
so much. Of course, of course. I'm happy to have you. So we'll see you next time.